Hello, everybody, and welcome back after a long time of not having a show. I have two great guys on, and luckily they remembered who I was after 2.5 weeks of not being on YouTube. But folks, it's October 12th. Thank you very much. This is going to be actually a really great episode because not only do I have Rob, who everybody knows from Digital Asset News, and also my good friend Lucas, but we're going to kind of be somber and just give it to you real, give some great opinions on where we think things are going to go. As you saw in the title, we have NFTs and we have both the traditional and the crypto markets that we're going to discuss as well. And all of those are correlated into a packaged opinion of where we think everything is going. Now we're almost halfway through October. The market has been a little slow on the uptick. So we're going to discuss that as well. And that all packages right back in. But before we do, let me just remind you that anything that myself, Trade the Chain, Lucas, Digital Asset News, or Mr. Rob himself, whatever we talk about, we analyze, or even like and tell you we're doing it. It's not a recommendation for you guys. It's not financial advice. We're all independent thinkers here. So that being said, gentlemen, thank you so much for hopping on the first episode after the hiatus.
How long has it been?
I think it's been like 2.5 weeks, man.
Damn.
Rick Latona, who the hell's Lucas? I couldn't not say anything like that. And our good buddy Rick. All right. Before we go in, what do we have here? Rob, tell us what you're thinking about today's markets. We're a little bit of a mixed bag, green and red, but we've seen a lot of capitulation on Bitcoin in the last hour.
Yeah. Well, it's like it's just one of those things where, you know, every time there's a rally, I think everybody wants it to be, this is the rally. This is the one where it goes parabolic, and this is the one that's going to go up. And that's what everybody wants. But, you know, really, in reality, it's going to do this for a while. And we just got out of, I mean, wasn't it like the crappiest month, September? And September was it was brutal. I mean, we had some pretty bad months there. And then just like everybody's been talking about, October is going to be, you know, statistically, or in the past, a pretty good month, October, November, December. And it was like that very first day, October 1st, it's like we just hit something. Then it went up. But right now, I mean, didn't we do a miraculous run here for, I mean, just in a very short amount of time? Because we were at, gosh.
I mean, Bitcoin's up from 41 2 weeks ago to just over 55 now. You know, in the past week, it's up 13%. So yeah, you can't really complain if you're a Bitcoin holder right now. We're not exploding up, 2-3x, but it's been doing extremely well comparatively.
Oh no! One thing I'll tell you, Lucas, if you're in crypto, you can complain all day long. Hey, this didn't go up 100%. This thing sucks. It's a scam. Da da da. But yeah, Lucas, right? I'm looking at 43,000, 42, something around there. September 21st, and then all the way up to this. And what's the date today? The 10th or the 11th?
12th.
Where am I? Who am I? Yeah, so 12.
Yeah, you're doing a Maschioli. That's like Alex's normal intro. Welcome, everybody. It's July.
It's 1872.
Yeah,
it's like it's a marvelous run. But I mean, we had to take a breather. This is good for the market. This is good for everybody because we can't do that hockey stick, because the faster we go up, the faster we go down. So a little bit of height, pullback, height, and pullback. I think it's okay.
Well, here are some of the losers currently on the 1 hour. Let's take a look at that. Probably some fan favorites real quick. Request Network. I know a lot of people. Pirate Chain. ARG, haven't heard that in a long time. H-Bar. You know, H-Bar. What are you thinking of H-Bar? Because I happen to like H-Bar at this price. I haven't followed it too closely in the last 5 months. But a year ago, I really, really took a liking to it and tracked it for about 6 months, traded in and out. But this goes back to, the whole L1 debate and what's happening with Bitcoin in itself. Lucas, do you have any thoughts on H-Bar and if this is a good place for it, or?
I like Hedera a lot. Their technology is fantastic. However, their play is a little bit different than traditional other L1s in that they are the solution for large corporations. They sell themselves to, if you remember, one of their big use cases was for tracking COVID vaccines. So from a large logistics perspective, from a pharmaceutical perspective, from a two large B2B operations, using a blockchain to be able to show you exactly where something is or who owns something, fantastic solution. Where I don't personally invest in it and why I don't personally invest in it is it's extremely centralized and rightfully so, right? They're pitching this product to other large corporations, not to individual users like myself. So I like this as a buy right now in terms of its technology, the people behind it, the companies that have adopted it. But in terms of a L1, you're not going to see a lot of NFTs on Hedera. You're not going to see a lot of other types of tokenized assets there because it's not built for that. It's not marketed there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm looking at the website right now and I'm seeing a little bit of echo. It's we've got Google, IBM, Boeing, Dentons, Deutsche Telekom, LG. All these ones owned and governed by the world's leading organizations. So, for us, like for me, this is the thing. I'll ask you guys a question about this, which is this: when you're looking at these things, and we're trying to look at, because we all want decentralization as much as possible, right? But it seems like that whole like, oh, it's decentralized goes out the window when everybody's making a ton of money. I know this is going to be a very unpopular opinion, but it's the same thing with like Binance Smart Chain. People are like, oh, it's the best thing, everything. Like, do you know how centralized that is? That is essentially like super centralized, but it's like everybody's like, well, yeah, we're making a lot of money. So like when I see this type of thing, I'm like, people, the majority of investors will just look at this and go, okay, seems okay. But to me, I just don't see, if you have a leading organizations, all these guys buying into it, there's got to be an enormous amount of just for the tokens themselves. I haven't taken a look at the tokenomics, but it's got to be like that.
I agree 100%. If what's most important to a level 1 or even a level 2 is that people are making money on it. That's why people buy into it. Now, the Hedera tokenomics were some of the worst I had looked at. And the reason is that they don't really want their investors, that's unfair to say, is they haven't structured it so that the individual retail investor will be rewarded for the success of the network. In other words, if IBM gets on it and spends billions of dollars on a blockchain within Hedera, that doesn't necessarily translate to an increase of their token for you. That's one of the reasons why I wasn't really into it.
Yeah.
So centralized or decentralized, it doesn't matter if the tokenomics aren't there.
Sounds good.
Interesting. Okay, let's talk about NFTs real quick. Or maybe not real quick, depending on what your viewpoint is. Rob, you and I had a conversation this morning for quite some time on NFTs before we went on the show. We kind of did a three-way here with Lucas on it. I think of this as one of the legs of the stool on what could possibly happen with the market and why it could possibly disappoint us all. I also think it plays a part in why it's in propping up the market, to be honest with you. So twofold, there's some good things that can happen. There's some bad things that can happen. But I want to start with you, Rob, because I know you're the voice of positiveness when it comes to NFTs right now. I know that you are an NFT owner and back a couple of different projects. So give us your thought process about where NFTs are in the marketplace and anything that you see, let's say, short and midterm.
Yeah, first of all, I didn't get it. Like, for you sitting out there watching this video, first of all, thanks for coming. We appreciate it. But when I would look at this, I'm like, this makes no sense to me because they're just goofy, stupid GIFs or they're JPEGs. And that's about it. So why would anybody get into this? Because it really has no real utility, right? And then, I was going along and I was, talking to some people about why it becomes it. Well, first of all, it is a little addicting. If you get into NFTs, just know you're going to be looking at these goofy pictures for a long time, trying to buy them up. But this one, I think this one kind of made sense when I read this one, and I'll cover it real quick. CAA, the guys that are behind in Los Angeles, they have like all the top level A-listers as far as like the Tom Cruises and all the different people that are like big time in Hollywood. They also have a bunch of sports stars. They represent all those people. They just need to deal with this person or persons or lady or guy, I don't know who it is, who is on Twitter, Whale0xB1, and they said, hey, we want to represent you because he accumulates a ton of these NFTs. So why would, to me, I was like, well, it doesn't make any sense. Why would Creative Artists Agency want to partner up with a person or an individual, whatever, that has a bunch of NFTs? It doesn't make any sense. And it just says it right here. Licensing, they want to license intellectual property in regards to their non-fungible tokens. So like if they want to put an NFT in some kind of movie or a streaming service or a series or in some kind of ad or something like that, they got to go through this guy because he owns all these different NFTs. So I was like, okay, that's an interesting concept. And it's just one of those things where I was thinking like, remember back in the day when the internet came about and people didn't know what the hell was going on. And then all of a sudden they're like, can you imagine going back then and be like, hey, we need a person to for SEO, search engine optimization. Like, what the hell are you talking about? It doesn't make any sense because those jobs didn't get created until the internet came along. And I think with these NFTs coming along, now all of a sudden you have these different aspects that no one would really envision. And then if you take a look at like, just like you said in the beginning, and we all talked about this before, was, you know, how much is this actually happening? How fast is this being adopted and how much is actually being used? Well, if you look at, this is the top 50 gas guzzlers, look at OpenSea. As far as like the percentage used, they're above Uniswap, 11%. And apparently over the last couple of weeks, this is actually a lower number. And I actually stole this from Nick Mancini. So thanks, Nick. And this was all the information as far as like things that are going on. And the other thing is this. I don't know where the NFTs are going. And I can tell you it's gambling. It's like ICO 2.0 in reality. But there's going to be some good ones out there. But the big question that I have, and I think we all had, was the ones that have utility, which like if you mint them, then you can get another one and you can sell it. Or you're going to get residual income from everything that is actually minted on the platform. If you're looking at the S word, securities, how are these things not securities? That's the one thing that kind of gets to me. And I'm like, I don't know. But right now it's hot. And I think a lot of money is going into it besides the altcoins, like you said, Alex.
Well, you know, we've been seeing the slowdown in altcoins, and it's been particularly hard on everybody because we're really looking for that parabolic second leg up. I mean, who's not, to be honest? The thing is that in my opinion, what's happened is the NFT market has triggered just such a hot chord lately that a lot of the participants in altcoins have been moved over to NFTs and have started participating over there rather than the altcoin market where they were originally. And we saw something very similar to this happen with DeFi summer last summer, end of August, going into September. You know, it was another market that shot up and then kind of simmered out. Lucas, do you think that we're going to have a similar effect with the NFT market, a simmering of sorts after we've had such a parabolic rise within that market? And if we do you think those guys are going to jump back into the altcoins, or do you think we're setting ourselves up for some more trouble?
I think we're setting ourselves up for some more trouble. You know, earlier you mentioned Rick Latona in the chat. Rick, one of our friends, great investor, one of the best investors I've ever known, jumped on DeFi, learned it backwards and forwards, jumped into NFTs, and then wanted to do something. He started talking to me about that, like, hey, let's think about a platform that we can build and get into this. And the more he and I talked about it, the more I became convinced that the timeline from being successful in NFTs in this market is within the next few months. And one of the reasons why I didn't proceed with that is that I didn't think that we could build anything in the amount of time it would take to be successful in this bull market. So that gut reaction to me, in simplest terms, makes it seem like I feel personally that the NFTs are going to top out in the next 2 to 3 months. And it's very, very similar. This, and I hate to use the word bubble because it sounds like I'm being pejorative, or I'm saying that NFTs aren't worth anything. That's not what I'm saying at all. Bitcoin has been in several bubbles, and look where we are now. Like, it still has value.
Yeah.
I think these NFTs are sucking some of the life out of the market, at least from the alts perspective. My concern is that if that bubble bursts and there is a downturn in that market, a lot of value would be lost. So there might not be value from those people that have made money, like now have value on their books of NFTs. If they go down, they might not be able to move that back into alts to continue it. So my concern is that perhaps that could be a catalyst for, flattening out the market in total, because so many people are jumping on the NFT bandwagon.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Rob.
I was going to say, can you imagine? Remember in 2017 when ICOs came about, and everybody's like, "Well, it's going to be hot because of this great white paper. You should read the white paper. The white paper is awesome." And then when it all busted, we're like, "Can you believe we did that? That's amazing." And when we look back, we're like, "That was the dumbest thing of all
That's
time."
some white paper for you.
and now we might, just like Lucas said, like we see what we want to see. We try to find like utility. And like, okay, this is gonna be good because of this and this and this. But at the end of the day, how long is this going to last, and how far is it going to go? I think that some products are going to do, amazingly well for the long term. The hard thing was, just like it was in 2017, is finding out those ones that actually are going to have staying power. So in the next 2 months, this is what I even tweeted this out. I go, I'm going to stop dollar cost averaging into crypto, because I've been doing that for the last 4 years.
Yeah, put your tweet up that you put out this morning.
A
lot of people were shocked. A lot of people were like, whoa, this isn't the Rob I came to know and love.
But because, like, look, all three of us have done the same thing. We've been stringent. We've looked at the market. We've bought the dips. We've held. We've taken a little bit of profits in here and there. And that's what investors do. But at some point, like, I look at these things and I'm like, I don't know how much of an upside now it is, because we're doing pretty well. I think the market's gonna. We could easily go up to 3 trillion, 4 trillion, 5 trillion. Why not? Because look at the market cap of silver. We're gonna eclipse that, and then also just for gold. So why not? But in this time frame, if I want a 2x or 3x, hey, that's good. That's great. But if I do a little gambling, like I'll show this tweet.
I like the pie chart you put together.
Yeah, that's this is the one. Go ahead and share that, Al, if you would.
Yep, people can see it.
Oh, there it is. So this guy right here, and I was like, if you gamble a little bit, it's just like playing the lottery. But the odds right now, and even Lucas, one of the smartest guys I know, is like, hey, this is going to happen like the next 2 or 3 months. I kind of agree that. I think a lot of smart people agree with that as far as NFTs. And this is what I said. I go, if you're going to do this, whoops, it went out. Oh, thanks. If you're going to do this, then why don't you just do like, this is what I'm doing. I can't tell you what to do, because this is just investment opinion, investment advice. I'm going to keep my HODLing stack, my portfolio the same way, or I might put a little, like, 3 or 4% into trading, maybe 1 to 2%, do a little gambling. What's the gamble? Well, the gambles are NFTs, and I think those could be 10, 20, 100x. Who knows? Look at what they've done so far. But I think that the platforms such as like Ethereum, with the gas fees, you can still do well there. But I'm looking very hardly at Avalanche, at Cardano, at Solana, and where you can mint those NFTs over there, because they have a lot of room to run. And that's what I got.
Well, kind of just, over there you have a lot less fees. One of the things, first of all, I love this thumbnail. I love the detail you put in there. I see you have Platypunks, which our good man Nick from Trade the Chain is one of those good creator people who put that together. He probably knows NFTs a lot more than most of our community. He's been tremendous. So interesting. Yeah. Never gotten to Badass Bulls, huh? That was my first NFT, Badass Bull.
Badass Bulls. Hey,
I didn't shill it enough for you to buy, I guess.
I've got some good ones. Buy the dip, sell the tip. What's up, man? He says, tell me how this is different than meme coins 6 months ago. I'll let you guys take that.
Well, if you rewind, go back, I was body slamming Doge as much as I possibly could, because back when I first got out in the market in 2013, 2014, that was one of the major reasons I did, is because I saw that it was sucking all the air out of the room. It had no utility whatsoever. It was a joke, and everyone was moving towards it. And it's dangerous. Now, a lot of these communities, those NFTs you just mentioned, have great communities. They're actually kind of fun, right? It is fun, but a lot of the other NFTs are just derivative works. Now I sound like some contemporary artist talking about other contemporary artists, like, oh, that's totally derivative. I saw his stuff 6 months ago at this cocktail party. But I think you see what I'm saying. Pixelated art, a lot of this reminds me of back, speaking of Rick Latona, back in the early days of the internet, like 95, 96, no one wanted a website. And then a year later, everyone wanted a website. So what they did is they got whatever was cool at the time, and it was this little icon of like fire. Having fire on your webpage made you cool, right? And so everyone had like the little burning torch on their website and like a coming soon banner with like the guy jackhammering or whatever, right? So those things that everyone did just to have a website so that they could be out there. But then when everyone was doing that, none of their websites had value, because it was all like there was no utility there. There was no value because you had to step up your game. Now, I think this is good because NFTs will be brought to that next level. Other utility in terms of video games. If I buy this Vorpal sword NFT, I get to use my Vorpal sword in this online game. That's huge. That's fractionalization of assets. Like, hey, let's buy a Picasso. We can't afford a Picasso, but if we all get together and buy a piece of this Picasso, we can all own it together. So NFTs are going to be huge, but for right now, it all feels like fire on a web page, a la 96, 97. To throw my age out there.
And you know what's funny is that those same amount of details and pixelation is the same as some of the NFTs that you have. I mean, a lot of these things are really super pixelated. And it's like it is. So yeah, but just like what you said about getting into gaming, and then for gamers to be able to take like their weapons and their skins and whatever else. I'm not a gamer, but this is apparently what I hear, that it will be huge to bring it over, because you're losing a lot of money just to go from game to game to game, and having your own thing would be even better. And then maybe even like a secondary market, like, hey, you like this skin? I had it on whatever, and I can sell it to you for 2x or 3x I bought it for. That's a new market right there. That
is going to be enormous.
Right.
That is going to be. Axie has done an amazing job of this, where someone can pay a fee to play someone else's NFTs in game because they're more powerful or more popular. That is huge. So that is pretty interesting in terms of gaming, and I think that it's only going to get bigger. My concern is that this run up of NFTs has been way too much, way too quick, and there's not enough utility.
Yeah, expect the bounce.
Now let's talk about the traditional markets, because you've put the fear of an NFT bubble burst into everybody's minds. Now, mind you, a lot of people are projecting the next 2.5 to 3 months as being the end of the bull run, myself included. I've preached for it for all year practically. We have a lot of moving parts happening in traditional markets, and a lot of geopolitical points within that market as well. Can you go down a few of those issues, and also, Lucas, spell out some turn of events in those issues that may stop this party early?
I think that the number one thing that we saw this past week was the Congress kicking the can down the road for both the stimulus package, the large budget, and raising the debt ceiling. Now, I think for crypto markets, this is good. Like that because it's not only good for crypto markets, but traditional markets, because a default on U.S. debt would be disastrous for the entire world economy. It would shake markets to their core because of faith in the United States and the US dollar. So we've pushed that out towards the end of the year, at least. The second thing I would like to draw everyone's attention to is inflation. Now, we can argue whether or not it's transitory. We can argue whether or not it's because of too much cash in the market. I would say no. But the two places where I think it's very interesting are in energy markets. We're seeing oil at $80 a barrel, coal the coal prices in China have increased dramatically, and they're having trouble actually meeting their energy demands. And just an article came out this week of natural gas prices in Germany being 5 times what they were last year, and we're not even into the winter. These types of energy prices are always drags on the economy. Now, why is that important for NFTs? Why is that important for crypto markets? It's important because we all still have to pay our bills. And if we're feeling the pinch in one area, we generally spend less in other areas. And I think that these energy increases will continue for at least the next 3 to 6 months. Lastly, the jobs report in the United States, and I know this is boring to a lot of people, it was much less than what we expected. It was 200,000 on the non-farm payroll. Some people were predicting as much as 500, 600,000 new jobs. It was only 200. This is good and bad. It's good in the sense that the Fed is now considering pushing back their taper. They're thinking about tapering off their buying in November. If those job reports still look bad, they might continue to stimulate for as long as they can. That might push out markets. So there's a lot to keep your eyes on out there. In conclusion, inflation is what everyone talks about, because if people think that we've been throwing so much money into the markets over the past 10 to 15 years that we're overdue for inflation. And if we're overdue for inflation, that means that cryptocurrency will kind of save the day, right? I think that transition, when people think that even if inflation hits traditional markets, it's going to take a while for people to wake up to Bitcoin or anything else as a savior away from losing value on their US dollar. So it's important to keep an eye on inflation, but doesn't mean a huge boon for crypto in the short term. It's a lot to throw at you really quick, but those are my 3 main things for today.
Yeah, my big question is the Fed, when will they, if we see the jobs report come out, just like you said, it's the same song and dance, same thing. When are they going to say, you know what, at some point we got to raise these rates? I think that is the big question. I think once you start to raise rates, they're like, well, we can't just, MMT is not going to work forever. Let's start raising. And then all of a sudden, I think that's when I think everything starts to cascade downward. But
you hit the nail on the head there. There's a law of diminishing returns for almost everything. And the Fed, whether they like to say it or not, their bag of tricks is sort of running out. Like, they've been doing this for so long that there's not much more that they can do, or at least if they keep doing what they're doing, it's not going to be as impactful. So they'll have to tack and change gears.
Well, as long as that'll last for until this bull runs over, I'm okay.
It's I say this also continuously, and that's one of the reasons why I like being friends with Rob. He's into real estate, and I always tell people, when you look for that inflation issue to reap its ugly head, look at the housing market, look at new home sales, and that's where the trickle down effect starts of the good, the bad, the ugly, which eventually erodes the consumer confidence. So, the next time I'm having a drink with Rob and he says, new home sales are down, I don't know what to do. This real estate thing sucks. I know I'm selling my whole crypto bag. So that'll be.
But you know what? I mean, seriously, think about it this way. Like in 2008 with the housing crisis and people lost their housing, people still got to live somewhere. They still have to. So if they're not owning, they're renting. So, I remember in 2008, me and my wife, we had a couple of houses, and it was like, well, we don't have anybody who's, wants to buy, but needs some place to stay. Here's a place to stay. So I always, like, when I look at these things and just like what Lucas just said, just like what Alex just said, it makes me humble to think, okay, I need to make sure that I don't screw this up and stay greedy and think that everything's going to go parabolic and, go whatever. I need to start taking the profits like I've been doing and then putting them into other assets that I think are going to do well over 10, 20, 30 years. And that's, I think, the big thing.
Right here. This is the roadmap. This is Rob's new roadmap.
Yeah.
I'll say a few things and then kind of let Lucas finish out what his thoughts are. Somebody asked earlier on, hey, Alex, are you still selling on Saturdays and buying on Tuesdays? Funny thing about that, because I was on Rob's show and I was explaining how I was swing trading through the unbearably predictable patterns of crypto and doing a decent job at it. But no, for the last 2 weeks, I have not. And if you notice, for the last 2 weeks, the resilience, the strength of resilience in the market going from the Sunday through Tuesday dip has been, it's been holding itself. It's been a lighter and lighter pullback than we normally expected. That's not because I'm a genius. That's just because I'm listening to myself and what I've been preaching, which was more uptrend than downtrend in the month of October, going through the rest of the year. But 2.5 months, 3 months, do I think differently? I think I have some revisions. And before I hop to Luke's real quick, Rob, do you feel like you have some revisions?
As far as exit strategies or what I'm doing?
As far as assets that we've covered, ones that we like and stuff that's in our portfolio, do you feel like you have some revisions from, say, 2 months ago?
The big thing of the assets that I have right now is I like residual income. So I like the whole staking process. And, with Cardano and Solana, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. But there's other things that I'm looking at. I'm like, I know they're underperforming now, but I'm looking at it going, do I need to, and I've been doing this the last couple of weeks because there's a deal I'm trying to put together. And Alex we talked about it, Lucas, I'll tell you, with a big real estate project. And because of that project, I've been taking other profits over here, not an exorbitant amount, but it has changed some things because, again, I don't have a crystal ball. I'm not Nostradamus. I don't know where things are going, and everything that's going on in the world. I think this market will do extremely well, but can I say that things won't, take a pretty big dip in a not too distant future? I can't. So I have to be careful with myself and do these things. That's what's changed recently, just because of an outside source.
All right, Lucas, what do we got for the rest of the year in your head?
I mean, I kind of want to mimic things that Rob just said. Is that one of the reasons why I was so attracted to his channel and then your channel is that you didn't always just say, "Hey, this is 100% of my investment. I'm staying in this forever." Diamond hands. Never sell. That's just not true. That's not how the world works. And having a diversified portfolio is incredibly important. I've preached a little doom and gloom here, but I'm still all in on the crypto markets. I still believe very strongly in them. I think that these are the technologies of the future. I think NFTs are going to change everything in terms of everything from gaming to the way that we buy and sell stock. I truly believe that. But it's important for everyone to have a healthy, see both sides of the equation mindset when looking at kind of where you're at. So I agree. I don't think, Rob, I would challenge you and say that nothing has really changed from the way that you look at things. You've always said, hey, this is what my portfolio is going to be in terms of real estate, in terms of, stocks and bonds. That chart that you've been doing that for the past year. So I would echo that. I'm actually more of a degenerate than you guys. I'm like 80% crypto. I need to diversify more. But I'm so into it. I love it so much. It's kind of hard to force yourself to sell some.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say one of the big things that I've done over the course of the last 3 years is move as much of my life on a day-to-day basis over to crypto. I'm about 80% there. It's very, if someone will not interact or transact in crypto, chances are I don't deal with them. Or if they're willing to learn, then I teach them. But yeah, it's a big part of life now.
If you want real moves I've made just a little bit out of DeFi, it was just hard to babysit. And I just never really got that into it. I bought more Cent token because I believe in the long-term sentiment analysis. And I'm not an insider. I can't wait to hear about some of Alex's plans, but I'm not saying that as someone that knows everything that's going on. I can't wait to hear the news along with the rest of you all. But I am into artificial intelligence and machine learning, and I love natural language processing, and I think the technology is really cool. Other than that, I'm the same. Mostly Cardano, a lot of ETH, a lot of Polkadot. It's kind of the big players because I'm a long-term holder.
Yeah.
Same.
Let me just address real quick, Bill Parker. Bill. I have a bunch of screens in front of me. I know who you are. I accidentally hid you unintentionally. I apologize. I think everybody saw your comments before I did that, but welcome back. All right. You were going to say something, Rob?
No, I think we're good. I mean, it's just like, I know, like, so if you're sitting there watching, you're like, okay, you know, is this all doom and gloom? And to reiterate what Lucas said, I still have a lot of faith in this market, but I think it's good because when you go out there in YouTube world and crypto Twitter, you're going to hear nothing like it's going to go up forever, and this is the greatest thing of all time. And then what I always worry about it is the people that are new to this space, and they're like, what the hell just happened? I just lost 10%. Well, you know, it's not going to go up forever. There's peaks and valleys, and it's very volatile. But, you know, I just gotta take the good with the bad. And I still think, I mean, we're all in agreement, right? Q4 of this year is going to be fireworks. I see big things in November, December.
I do. I do think fireworks are going to happen November, December. Just as always, iterate. People, especially, you know, listen to Rob's channel and what he preaches, because have an exit plan. We're all diamond hands to a certain point, and that's okay. That's faith, and that's belief, and that's having, you know, a long game approach. But the people who are diamond hands forever are also the ones that don't achieve that financial situation that they were hoping for when they entered a particular space. So just be constant. Selling doesn't make you a bad person. Always remember that. Yeah. And as we head out, just show everybody we have a little bit of change in Bitcoin. It's trying to bounce back here, so we'll see what happens with that. But still down that 55,000 mark and not happy. So, everybody, thanks for coming back and watching. It's been a couple weeks. Been on the road a lot. Obviously, people know dealing with NASCAR stuff and what.
Hey, yeah, Alex, huge win there for you and your team. I mean, just unbelievable. What a finish! Congratulations.
Thank you so very much. Yeah, it's been a crazy couple of weeks. A bunch of commercials and photo shoots and races in between. So, yeah, it's been fun.
Talladega champ, Talladega. Nice.
Ricky Bobby, baby. Lucas, as always, Rob, as always, thank you so much, gentlemen. You guys mean so much to me and are good friends, and I value your opinions immensely, as do a lot of people. So thank you for hopping on. And everybody else, we shall see you again tomorrow. Actually, tomorrow I have another special episode, and that's going to be with Rob back on, but also Petruccio from Trade the Chain. So we all know what the subject of that show is going to be.
I can guess.
So we'll see you then, folks. Thank you very much.
Bye, guys. Thank you.